mode.
Good evening, everyone. This is Heather Vardell, your National Membership Director. Tonight's webinar is Building Your Leadership Profile. We are going to give everyone about 2 more minutes. I find that everyone kind of comes in right at 9 o'clock or 9:01, so we'll just wait just a minute. While we are waiting, though, if you could just make sure that you have a piece of paper and a pen towards the end of it, we're going to do a small exercise, which I know it's hard to share since everyone's in mute mode, but I hope that it's at least helpful for you. And if you have any questions at the end, you can reach out to me one-on-one. So while we wait just another minute, if you can just grab a piece of paper and a pen, the last couple slides is a small exercise to help you with a SWOT analysis. All right, it looks like we have a handful of people, so we will go on and get started. Again, building your leadership profile, and I am Heather Vardell, your National Membership Director. So we're going to start with what makes a great leader. And as I go through these slides, I'm asking the question specifically to you about you. So you will be analyzing yourself during this training. So as I ask these questions, start thinking about your how you would respond if we were in person, um, and what the answers are to this. So do you inspire people through your actions as a leader in this organization, as a leader in the community, as someone, within your family? Or just do you feel like you inspire other people around you? And are you open to accept other talents? So constructive criticism, being honest with yourself, being honest with others. And do you step up? So when there's a big project going on, or people need help with different things within the chapter, are you one to step up and step out of your role that you've maybe been elected to help others within your local chapter? And what qualifications would you consider are a great leader? Just think about that as we go through this training. So what makes a great leader? Your leadership style. So what kind of leader are you? If you just think about it while we're on here, what type of characteristics? Honest, trustworthy, a go-getter, maybe an out-of-the-box thinker. What qualities are helping or hindering your leadership style that you have? And what ways can you improve on your leadership abilities? We are a developmental organization, so we're developing leadership skills. So what abilities do you have that need to be developed and tweaked a little bit more as you learn throughout the organization? A good character? Do you have strong ethics and fair? There's two sides to every story when something happens. Do you accept responsibility when you are wrong? Owning your mistakes is probably a key of being a leader in this organization. And learning from those mistakes. We're lucky to be in an organization where nothing too terrible can go wrong, in the sense that it can't be fixed, or it's not always a learning experience. It is a learning experience. And then, do you have high integrity and are always open and honest with your chapter members, your leaders, your mentors, and as a leader in this organization? So confidence, how you carry yourself, speaking and dressing, how you walk into a room, working with a team and your team's abilities. It's very key to know that behind every great leader is a team of people working with them to achieve the goals set at the beginning of the year in your plan of action. Motivate and inspire with enthusiasm and passion. Challenge with grace and humor and composure, it's difficult to be a leader in this organization at times, but make sure you're always um, graceful and humor, and enjoy and have a good time. Solve problems and make improvements, focusing on the positive. You know, really evaluating your projects, and are they within the mission and vision of our organization, and don't be afraid to make some quick changes and decisions within the organization. Multitasking and taking risks. Are you doing what's best for your chapter? Do you need to make some changes to take risks to move the chapter forward? So, approachability, some examples: asking questions, being friendly and outgoing. Are you that person that walks into a meeting and always on your phone and hunched over in a corner with your arms folded? Perception is reality in this organization. How do other people view you? And if you don't know the answer to that, find a mentor, reach out to someone who can help you, and make sure that when you walk into a room, that you are approachable and being outgoing and friendly to everybody there. So, your vision, at the end of the year, when you are serving your term in whatever position you've been elected to, where do you want to end? What are your goals? Um, and how you plan to get there? Are you going at it at a new angle? And then take input and opinions from others. That's the great thing about this organization. You always want to be in a team environment, and just a natural enthusiasm and passion for this organization. Are you working with people outside of your local chapter, like in the community, with local government and schools and other nonprofits? And how can they help you fulfill your mission and goals within the year? Competent. Know your product. This organization has some marketing material and some information. There is most certainly the right thing to do. It's most certainly the right thing to do if you don't know the answer to the question being asked with regards to the organization, that you simply say, I'm unsure. Let me get that answer for you and get back to you. And that also gives you an excuse, or a great reason to follow up with that person by, hey, you asked me this and I checked into it, and this is the answer. Your management style. You don't want to micromanage your team. You want to make sure you're giving them control of their own projects and their ideas, and just simply having regular meetings to review the plan of action and the goals set for the different quarters, for the 4 quarters throughout the year. And then just inspire them with your words and actions. For example, if you say you're going to be somewhere, you're somewhere. If you say you're going to do something, you do it. You show up and you are there and present as a leader in this organization. You have clear goals throughout the year. You know exactly what you want to accomplish, and you're looking back on those goals and evaluating them throughout the year. You also want to set measurable goals. So your goal is to have 3 community projects, partner with 2 nonprofits, have 4 government meetings, measurable goals. And you want to evaluate those with your team throughout the year. If low performance is acceptable to the leader, then the team will reduce their performance. So, as a leader in this organization, you want to make sure that you are at a high you're producing at a high rate and a high performance, so that your team is inspired to do the same. So I asked earlier um, at the beginning of the training, what makes a good leader? And if we were all in person together, we'd have a big piece of paper with probably a lot of these words on there: their integrity, they set goals, they're a good example of a person, their vision, communication, expectations are high, they're supportive, encouraging, um, they're recognized in the community, meaning that people know who they are. They focus on the team and the interest, and they're inspirational. So, these are just a few examples of, throughout doing the training, some examples of a good leader. So this is where I want all of you to have at least a piece of paper handy. We're going to do something called a SWOT analysis. And if anybody wants to talk about this offline afterwards, just reach out to me and we'll set up a time. But the goal of this analysis is really looking inward and what your strengths, your weaknesses, your opportunities, and your threats are. So on your piece of paper, if you have one available, or you can do it mentally, that's fine too. Draw this grid of these four corners and put an S, a W, an O, and a T, and create this. And we're going to go through and have you and ask some questions that will get you thinking about where you are in all of these. So, your strengths describe the positive attributes, tangible and intangible, internal to your organization that are within your control. So, you can do this for you, your local chapter, or if you're on the state level, your state organization. So, what are your advantages that you possess or your local chapter possess in the community? And what do you do well? So, for example, do you host the Christmas parade? Do you have a very well known project? Do you have a good relationship with the chamber? What relevant resources do you have access to? Again, the chamber, a small business, maybe local government officials. What do other people see as your strengths? So if I came to your town and met someone, what would they say you or your local chapter are known for and their strengths? And I'll give you just a few minutes to write these out and think about these. And when looking at your strengths, you want to talk about them in relation to your competitors. So if you have another YP group in your local area, um, what are your strengths in comparison to them? Do you offer more premier training? You are part of a global network versus only a local network. But the good thing about your strengths is knowing exactly where you stand in the community and what you maybe don't need to work on as much to improve because you have that stability within your local community. Another thing, consider this from your point of view and from the point of view of other people you deal with. Don't be modest, be realistic. If you are having difficulty with this, try writing down a list of your chapter, state, or business characteristics. Some of these will be helpful within your strengths. And if you have questions, there's a little question box at the bottom. You can ask questions as well. We'll move forward to your weakness, so your internal and negative. Weaknesses are aspects of your chapter that detract from the value you offer or place you at your competitive disadvantages. So, what could you improve on? What do you do badly, and what should you avoid? Do other people seem to perceive weaknesses that you do not see? Are your competitors doing anything better than you? So within your local chapter, what are your weaknesses? Do do you not actually compete with the YP group? Do you not have a strong relationship with any local officials or a chamber? Are your members not as active? And this is not always the easiest thing to be open and honest with you about, but I can promise you doing a SWOT analysis of your local chapter can only benefit you in helping evaluate where you need to improve and where your opportunities lie that you can help improve and move your weaknesses to your strengths. The opportunity. So, your external and positive. Opportunities are external attractive factors that represent reasons your business is likely to prosper. So, your local chapter. What are the good opportunities in front of you? Maybe you don't necessarily have a good relationship with the chamber, but there's no YP group with the chamber. So, that's an opportunity to mend and build that relationship to become the YP group. Maybe you want to, maybe there's a specific need in the community that you can address with with partners in the community? What are the interesting trends you are aware of? Is the perception of your business positive? So if I were to come in and ask around about your local chapter, what would I be told as an outsider coming in? Useful opportunities can come from things such as changes in social patterns, lifestyles, population, local events, and etc. A useful approach to looking at opportunities is to look at your strengths and ask yourself whether these open up any opportunities. Alternatively, look at your weaknesses and ask yourself whether you can open up from an opportunity by eliminating them. So, are you doing projects that are benefiting your local chapter and your members? Or are you doing the same project every year just because that's what's expected and you're too scared to step out of the norm and stop doing that project? But is there an opportunity to do a better project that would benefit your members and your local community that you should take advantage of? So, threats. Threats include external factors beyond your control that could place your strategy or business at risk. You have no control over these, but you may benefit by having contingency plans to address them should they occur. So, what obstacles do you face that you have no control over? This would be something like a booming YP group that just will not see the benefit of partnering with you. Who are your existing and potential competitors? What are your competitors doing? Or what is your competition doing? Is changing technology threatening your organization? Do you have a debt or a cash flow problem? Could any of your weaknesses seriously threaten your local chapter? So, what is really threatening your local chapter from being a sustainable, vibrant chapter in your local community that are beyond your control at the moment? Writing these out and evaluating them can really help you, number one, prevent them from being a serious threat if you can see them coming. So, this is what the SWOT analysis looks like on paper in a grid together. So, strengths and opportunity strategies. Which of your chapter's strengths can be used to maximize an opportunity you've identified? And looking at this together, the strengths and threats. How can you use the chapter's strengths to minimize a threat that you've identified? And then weaknesses and opportunities. What actions can you take to minimize your chapter's weakness using the opportunities that you've identified? And then you'll take your weakness and your threats. How can you minimize the chapter's weaknesses to avoid threats you've identified? And I would recommend doing this SWOT analysis with your local board of directors, or if you're on the state team, doing it with your state and doing it with the state organization. Because identifying your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats will allow you to plan for the future and set realistic goals and not be thrown off when something happens as a threat or a weakness maybe becomes a little bit more than you are ready to deal with since you've already identified it early on. And I am recording this. It'll be posted tomorrow on the YouTube channel. So if you need a copy of this, you can get this recording there or email me and I will send it to you. So the final section of tonight's webinar will be dealing with difficult people. And I'm sure all of you know anyone who seems intent to be unhappy and difficult no matter what you do. And that's just the way some people are. They operate with a double agenda. They struggle with anger and have low self-esteem. Maybe they're manipulative or arrogant. They can't tell the truth, or they need to control everything, are focused solely on themselves. So we're going to go through a couple of things on how to deal with difficult people, but just kind of keep in mind some of these characteristics. So do you name that tune? Let them know. So when you have someone who's any of these characteristics, let them know that you recognize that there is a problem. stating that the problem may throw them off guard. So if you see that there's an issue going on, calling it out in a calm manner can really just be like very eye opening. I hear you that this is a problem, or I know that you're upset about this, or I know that you said this, but this is what really was going on. In a calm, respectful manner, letting them know that you recognize that they are upset shows them that you see them, the person as a person, value to you. So even though they're upset or difficult, just working with them in a positive manner can really turn the tune in a positive way. Repeat back word for word what they said. So sometimes it really is just that you are hearing what they're saying, but not in the way that they're saying it. So saying it back to them calmly, in a statement that is full of emotion or venom, restating it gives you some time to consider what you want to say next, but never retaliate to their level. So if they are upset and say something to you and you repeat it back to them calmly, and maybe follow up with, well, this is what I'm hearing you say, and this is how I'm interpreting it. Am I interpreting it wrong, or is this how you mean it? And they can be like, and you would be surprised several times. It would be like, no, 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 that's not how I meant it. This is how I meant it. But you would not have known that if you hadn't repeated it back to them. And maybe hearing those words come back, they hear exactly what they're saying, and they didn't necessarily mean it that way. Put their words into your own words. So they may not know how they are coming across. So what you're really saying is this, and then you describe it how you're interpreting it. And maybe sometimes that's exactly what they're meaning to say, and then other times they don't really mean it that way. But if you're open and honest with it, it can really avoid some confrontation. Make them reconsider what their words mean and how they are being heard. Helps them to realize that their meaning is communicated more on how it's said rather than what it is said. So calling someone out about it, but being very calm and respectful isn't a bad thing. But just knowing that, not letting it fester and build, so that it doesn't trickle down into the membership, but dealing with it one on one in a calm manner is the best way. Getting down to the core. So difficult people speak around the issue to try to get clear, concise ideas of what they're trying to say, determine if it's a real issue or if they're just being difficult. So just asking a bunch of open-ended or direct questions depending on the situation. Um, they tend to want to fight back and we tend to want to fight back and get defensive. Just ask questions about what they just said and refocus the conversation. What exactly are you trying to tell me? Generally can steer the conversation into a more calm manner. And then recognize difficult people, their words, and their actions for what they are, and disconnect yourself emotionally from the irrational behavior of others. And this can be a difficult thing to do, but sometimes you just have to remember that it's not personal. They have their opinions and they're not going to change, and it just is what it is. So you want to maintain a positive attitude as a leader in this organization for your local chapter or your state organization, and just focus on what your goals and aspirations are. And remember, you have been called to lead the people, and not all of them will be easy to get along with. But be faithful to being a leader and resist the temptation of allowing difficult people to derail you in your efforts in leading them. And finally, a true leader not only cares about their success, but the success and empowerment of others. So your goal is to also make sure other people are successful in this organization and build up leaders, and work together as a team. again, my name's Heather and I'm your National Membership Director. So if you want a copy of this training or want to do a one-on-one SWOT analysis or go over your SWOT analysis, please reach out to me, and I will also have this posted tomorrow on the YouTube channel if you want to redo it. Yes, you may have my email address. My email address is V as in Victor, ARDELL at usjcs.org. So hvardell at usjcs.org. Yes, thank you. All right. If there are no more questions, I will end the webinar and everyone have a great night. Thank you.